She screamed, "Illegal gathering!" one last time before her heels snapped and she plunged straight into the lake, clipboard, pride, and all. What happened next made every neighbor realize the HOA didn't rule this family anymore. The afternoon sun shimmered on the Florida lake, smoke from our grill curling into the sky as laughter echoed across the ranch. My brother Ben flipped burgers while my daughter, Emily, chased her cousins near the sparkling water's edge, their laughter pure summer joy. We'd waited weeks for this family reunion, just us, the lake, and peace away from HOA nonsense. Then came that piercing voice, sharp, nasal, and full of authority, "Illegal gathering." I turned, spatula in hand, to see her, Karen Winters, the HOA president, clutching a clipboard and a yellow measuring tape. Her heels sank into the grass as she marched toward us like a storm, yelling about unauthorized gatherings. 3 families? That's over the limit, she shrieked, waving her tape like a sword. Before we go on, please, where are you watching from and what time is it right now? I want to see how many families, parents, and neighbors are feeling this story across the country tonight. Your comment helps this message reach more people who've faced unfair HOA rules too. Ben blinked in disbelief. Karen, it's a barbecue, not a rock concert. But she kept shouting, "I'll call the cops. This is a $3,000 fine." Even the kids froze, confused and scared, as if they'd just been caught stealing sunshine. I stepped forward, chest tight with anger, trying to stay calm for the children. "Karen, this is private property by the lake, our land, not the HOA's," I said firmly. She smirked, snapped her tape, and measured the grass. "The lake's shared. I'll decide what's legal." The tension sizzled hotter than the grill. Emily began to cry softly, whispering, "Daddy, are we in trouble?" I knelt beside her. "No, sweetheart. But Karen might be." Because in that moment, I swore I wouldn't let her win. A year earlier, Karen moved into the ranch community after her divorce, instantly demanding control over every inch of our lives. She fined old Mr. Dawson for planting roses too close to the mailbox. She forced my wife, Claire, to repaint our fence because the shade of white wasn't compliant. I'd tried being civil at first, inviting her to coffee, explaining the lake had been shared long before she arrived. But Karen saw kindness as weakness. When she banned fishing for noise pollution, I realized she enjoyed domination more than peace. She'd brag to others, "Rules make good neighbors," while secretly spying from her porch camera. That's when my family began calling her the measuring witch. Still, we tolerated her, for the kids' sake, for the quiet life. Until that barbecue day, when she finally crossed the line. She wasn't just ruining an afternoon, she was humiliating us in front of our children. I saw Ben's jaw tighten, his hands trembling on the spatula handle. Claire whispered, "Don't let her scare the kids." But something deep inside me snapped. Karen had embarrassed families, bullied children, and fined neighbors into submission. She had no idea this time she'd picked the wrong family to mess with. Because we weren't just going to fight back, we were going to make her regret ever stepping onto our ranch. Karen strutted around our barbecue pit, writing in her notebook like she was auditing criminals. Number of guests, 12. Distance to water, 8 feet. Violation of Section 14, Paragraph 6, she muttered. Ben laughed bitterly. "She's measuring sunlight now?" Karen pointed her clipboard toward the children. "Those minors are trespassing into HOA shared property." Emily hid behind my leg, trembling. "Daddy, she's mean." I took a deep breath, hands clenched, voice low but controlled. "Karen, stop frightening the kids." She sneered. "Ignorance of the rules isn't innocence. Expect a $3,000 fine notice by morning." Claire gasped, "That's insane." Karen smirked. "Rules are rules. Maybe next time you'll host within your property line." The insult burned like acid. Ben muttered, "If she gets closer, she'll end up in the lake." Karen's head snapped around. "Is that a threat?" I stepped forward, eye level with her. "It's a promise, if you keep harassing families." She gasped, stumbling backward toward the dock, shoes slipping on damp wood. For one terrifying second, she teetered near the edge, waving her clipboard like a flag. The kids screamed, thinking she'd fall in. And maybe that would have been justice. Cold, lake water justice. But before I could blink, the real chaos began. Karen screamed as her heel snapped, her clipboard splashing into the lake. Ben rushed forward instinctively to help her, but she slapped his hand away. "Don't touch me," she yelled, grabbing onto the dock rail. Then she looked around, drenched in sweat, and shouted, "I'm calling the sheriff." The family stared in disbelief, silence heavy except for the sizzle of forgotten burgers. Emily whispered, "She's crazy." Karen fumbled for her phone, snapping photos of everyone. Faces, cars, even the grill. "This is evidence. You'll all pay." That's when Claire's father, retired from federal service, stepped forward with calm authority. "Karen Winters," he said evenly, "you're trespassing and harassing minors." She sneered, "And who do you think you are?" He smiled faintly. "Former FBI division chief, ma'am. I know the law better than you." Her face turned pale, hand trembling around the phone. "You're bluffing," she barked. He showed his old badge, still polished and real. Her jaw dropped, eyes flicking between us like trapped prey. The silence broke when Ben whispered, "Maybe it's time someone measured your manners." Karen gasped, stepping back again, and this time, she slipped. The splash echoed across the lake like thunder. Water exploded upward as Karen plunged in, her scream cutting through the humid air. Emily covered her ears while the kids cried out, "She fell! She fell!" Ben dropped his plate, rushing to the dock, yelling, "Grab the rope!" But Karen thrashed wildly, choking and sputtering. Her designer blazer floated like a deflated balloon, her clipboard sinking beneath the surface. I froze for a heartbeat, part shock, part disbelief that karma arrived so fast. Claire shouted, "Someone help her before she drowns." Ben threw a line toward her, but Karen screamed, "Don't touch me. I'll sue." Even half submerged, she was all ego. I climbed down, grabbed the rope, and pulled, anger and pity tangled in my chest. She emerged coughing, hair plastered to her face, mascara streaking like black rain. When she crawled onto the dock, drenched and humiliated, the crowd of neighbors had gathered. Someone recorded the scene, phones capturing every dripping second. Karen's pride shattered, her control washed away with the lake water. I stood over her, chest heaving. "Next time you threaten families," I said quietly, "remember this lake doesn't obey HOA rules." She glared up, trembling, eyes burning with hate. And I knew, the real war was about to begin. By sunset, Karen had vanished, leaving behind wet footprints and broken pride. We thought the nightmare was over, until her email arrived that night. Subject line, "Legal action pending." She accused us of attempted drowning, property damage, and emotional distress. Claire gasped reading it aloud. "She's insane. We saved her." Ben slammed the table. "She wants war? Let's give her one." But my father-in-law raised his hand calmly. "No shouting. We'll handle this properly." He picked up the phone, dialed a number only people in authority could use. "Director Hastings," he said into the receiver, "we've got an HOA." Within the hour, a black SUV rolled up the dusty ranch road. Two men stepped out in suits, badges gleaming under the porch light. The kids peeked through the window, whispering, "FBI." "Yes," I said softly, "and they're not here for barbecue." The storm Karen started had drawn real thunder. The agents introduced themselves, polite but serious, asking for every detail. Karen's threats, the fine, the photos, everything was documented. Claire handed over the phone, shaking slightly. She said she'd ruin us. Agent Miller nodded. "We've had reports on her before." I frowned. "Reports?" "She's been filing fake complaints, fabricating violations for financial gain," he explained. My jaw dropped. "So she's scamming people through HOA fines?" Miller exchanged a knowing glance with his partner. "Exactly. We've been tracking her." Ben exhaled, laughing nervously. "Well, she measured the wrong family this time." The agent smiled faintly. "We'll talk to her tonight." Before they left, Miller turned to me. "If she contacts you again, record everything." I nodded, heart pounding with a strange mix of relief and vengeance. That night, as the crickets sang by the lake, flashing lights appeared again, this time red and blue. Karen's house glowed in police beams across the water. And for the first time in years, our family barbecue ended in peace. The next morning, the entire neighborhood buzzed. Word spread fast. Karen had been questioned by federal agents till midnight. Her car sat in her driveway, doors open, papers scattered like feathers. Ben poured coffee, grinning. Think she's measuring her own mistakes now? Claire chuckled softly. Justice tastes better than barbecue. Still, I felt uneasy. Revenge had power, but so did guilt. Emily asked, "Daddy, is Karen going to jail?" I smiled gently. "She's learning a big lesson, honey." By afternoon, Karen's HOA website went down, her rules erased like chalk in the rain. Neighbors came by, shaking my hand, thanking us for standing up. For once, the lake felt free again. No boundaries, no clipboard patrols. But deep down, I knew she wouldn't give up that easily. People like Karen didn't just vanish, they regrouped. And by dusk, my phone buzzed with an unknown number. A familiar voice whispered, "This isn't over." The game had changed, but the war wasn't done. Karen returned 2 weeks later, quieter but colder, eyes sunken with fury. She stood on the dock at sunrise, watching our family fish. I walked over calmly. "You're trespassing again." She smiled faintly. "I came to apologize." Her tone was strange, too calm, too controlled. Ben stepped closer. "Apologize or plot?" She ignored him, eyes locked on me. "You embarrassed me in front of everyone." I crossed my arms. "You embarrassed yourself." She sighed, tears glimmering. "You don't understand what losing control feels like." For a fleeting second, she seemed human, broken even. Then she whispered, "But you will." She turned, stepped toward her car, and slipped again near the same edge of the dock. This time, Ben caught her arm firmly. "Karen, stop fighting gravity," he muttered. She pulled free, stormed off, leaving muddy footprints and a broken look in her eyes. That was the last time we saw her alive. The next day, the lake was calm, too calm. It's been 20 years since that day by the Florida Ranch Lake. Emily's grown now, with kids of her